Something is quietly dulling the minds of millions of Americans, and most people have no idea it is happening right in their own kitchens. The fluoride, chlorine, and heavy metals flowing through municipal water lines have been linked in dozens of peer-reviewed studies to cognitive decline, disrupted sleep, and a creeping sense of spiritual disconnection that many people over 50 know all too well. If the health of your mind and the sharpness of your spirit matter to you, consider subscribing so you never miss a video like this one. Let's start with what is actually in your tap water. The average American municipal supply contains chlorine or chloramine as a disinfectant, fluoride added since the 1950s as a public health measure, and trace amounts of heavy metals including lead and copper that leach from aging pipes. Pharmaceutical residues, pesticide runoff, and industrial chemicals round out the list. The Environmental Working Group has documented hundreds of contaminants in American tap water over the years, many of them at levels that exceed what independent scientists, not just government agencies, consider safe for long-term consumption. The federal legal limits on many of these compounds have not been updated in decades. That gap matters enormously. The Safe Drinking Water Act was last comprehensively amended in 1996, meaning the regulatory framework governing what flows into your glass is nearly 30 years old. Written before the full body of neurological and endocrine research we now have even existed. Fluoride is the most debated entry on that list. It was introduced into public water systems starting in 1945 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as a way to reduce tooth decay. For a long time, questioning that decision was considered fringe science. That conversation has shifted. A significant review published in 2012 in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives, conducted by researchers at Harvard University and China Medical University, analyzed dozens of studies and found an association between high fluoride exposure and lower IQ scores in children. A 2023 review in JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the country, found similar signals. The National Toxicology Program released a systematic review in 2024, concluding that fluoride is likely associated with lower IQ in children at levels found in some communities. These are not fringe publications. These are mainstream institutions raising serious questions. That National Toxicology Program report evaluated over 50 individual studies, and its lead authors noted the consistency of the signal across different populations and different methodologies as a primary reason for concern. Chlorine and chloramine are added to kill bacteria, and they do that job reasonably well. The problem is what happens when they interact with organic matter in the water. The byproducts, called trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids, are classified as probable human carcinogens by the Environmental Protection Agency. Long-term exposure has been associated in population studies with bladder cancer, and some researchers have flagged potential neurological effects as well. You absorb these compounds not only by drinking, but by showering and breathing steam. Your skin is a permeable barrier, not a wall. A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology estimated that swimming in or bathing with chlorinated water accounts for a measurable fraction of total trihalomethane exposure, sometimes rivaling what you ingest by drinking, which means a filter on your drinking water alone addresses only part of the picture. Lead is the heavy metal most Americans know about, thanks to the crisis in Flint, Michigan, that became national news around 2015. But Flint was not an isolated case. A Reuters investigation published in 2017 found thousands of neighborhoods across the country with blood lead levels in children that exceeded what was found in Flint at the height of that crisis. Lead has no safe level of exposure, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It is a potent neurotoxin that damages the developing brain in children and has been associated with cognitive decline and mood disorders in adults. The pipes beneath your street may be decades old. The American Society of Civil Engineers estimated in their 2021 infrastructure report that there are still between 6 and 10 million lead service lines delivering water to American homes, a number that will take years and hundreds of billions of dollars to fully replace. Now here is where the spiritual dimension of this conversation becomes concrete. Every major contemplative tradition, from Christian mysticism to Buddhist meditation to the indigenous practices of Native American communities, recognizes the body and the mind as the vessel through which spiritual experience flows. When that vessel is chronically inflamed, sleep-deprived, and neurologically burdened by low-level chemical exposure, the kind of still, receptive awareness that prayer and meditation require becomes genuinely harder to access. This is not metaphor. Chronic neuroinflammation, which has been linked in animal studies to fluoride and other water contaminants, disrupts the prefrontal cortex, the very region associated with focused attention, impulse regulation, and the capacity for transcendent thought. The ancient connection between clean water and spiritual purification was not accidental. So what is the $10 system? It is a simple activated carbon water filter, the kind that attaches directly to your kitchen faucet or sits in a pitcher on your counter. Activated carbon, derived from coconut shells or coal, uses adsorption to bind chlorine, chloramine, certain pesticides, pharmaceutical traces, and volatile organic compounds to its porous surface, pulling them out of the water before it reaches your glass. A basic faucet mount carbon filter from a reputable brand costs between $8 and $15 at most hardware stores and major retailers. Replacement cartridges, which should be changed roughly every 2 to 3 months depending on use, run a similar price. This is not a luxury. It is among the most cost-effective health interventions available to any household. Carbon filters do have limits worth knowing. Standard activated carbon does not reliably remove fluoride or heavy metals like lead. For fluoride removal, look for a filter certified to NSF Standard 58, which is the certification that covers reverse osmosis and certain activated alumina systems. These countertop or under-sink systems cost more, typically between $50 and $200, but they address a broader spectrum of contaminants. For lead specifically, look for filters certified to NSF Standard 53. Both certifications are printed on the packaging and searchable on the NSF International website. Do not rely on marketing language alone. Look for the certification number. Beyond the filter itself, there are 3 habits that cost nothing but compound the benefits significantly. First, let your tap run for 30 to 60 seconds in the morning before filling any vessel you plan to drink from. Water that has sat overnight in pipes has had more contact time with lead solder and metal fittings, and flushing that first draw dramatically reduces your exposure. Second, drink from glass or stainless steel, not plastic. Many plastics leach endocrine-disrupting compounds, including bisphenol A, commonly known as BPA, into water, particularly when warmed by sunlight or a dishwasher. Third, stay genuinely hydrated. The brain is roughly 75% water. Mild dehydration, even at levels you do not consciously feel as thirst, measurably impairs concentration, mood, and reaction time. Hydration and clarity are not separate subjects. The connection between clean water, a clear mind, and a receptive spirit is one of the oldest truths in human culture. Wells were sacred in Celtic and Roman tradition. Baptism is built on water as the medium of transformation. The act of drawing clean water and drinking it with intention, knowing what you have removed and what you are nourishing, is itself a small but genuine act of stewardship toward the body and the life inside it. A $10 filter will not solve everything, but it will change what enters you every single day, and that is precisely where lasting change begins.